Hello, thank you very much for the introduction, guys, and good morning. Good morning. My name is Noel. I'm the Business Central Consultant here at Optimus. I'll be conducting today our webinar. Thank you for coming, like every workshop. I'm going to start now sharing my screen so we can just start with the process, right? Today, yes, it's going to be interesting. We're going to see approval workflows. Interesting because it's something, it's a functionality pretty much requested in every implementation. Very important, very necessary. And let's go now to the main point. What is the approval workflow? And here you can see now my screen, right? Here you're going to see approvals. And today, this guy, administrator, right? Let me just verify if I'm just sharing the correct screen. There you go. Yes. Yeah. And the approval workflow, I need people to interact. I need people to create a document that somebody's going to review, let's say. And these people will be part of the actual approval process. So I have two windows here. One is the regular administrator that will be above everyone else. And I have this guy, Carl Smith. And what is going to happen now? Just to begin, what is an approval workflow? I'm not going to explain it. I'm going to show it. That's very easy to understand. Let's just do a purchase order, right? The purchase order is just one of the documents that can be created to be a a very detailed process where I need to check the costs. That's why I like this first example. I need to check what items will be purchased. Let me explain. Here's a purchase order, and then I have a list of vendors, correct? These are for my demo environment. So I have Fabricam, whiteboard importers, right? And so forth. When we do an implementation, we import these lists in Business Central. Now, I'm going to just input the vendor name, which immediately is going to recall all this information from this vendor Fabricam, like the address, like the country, like the contact, very important, right? So before these people, Crystal York, who is working in Fabricam, knows what I'm about to purchase and receive that. Well, I need a previous confirmation internally because of the expenditures maybe need to be approved or something like that. So just in a very general way, I'm going to buy an item. I know that I have chairs and furniture here. Look at this. Just by inserting in the second section, I can insert the items that I will be purchasing. So now I'm just going to go and insert one of these items or one of these chairs, right? The idea of a purchase order is that I'm about to pay for these Paris guest chairs to Fabricam. Then they're going to ship them or and then I will be receiving this in the location code, which is one of my warehouses, right? And this is my main warehouse. Very good. Now, immediately, I'm going to then input the quantity that I'm about to purchase for a total of 1,503. The idea is that I will be now starting the negotiation. What is then the approval workflow? All right. I would like to give you an insight of when we do this type of document, you need to be super sure about that the input and the purchase is okay. Plus, sometimes you need to provide evidence and attachments that we have this functionality to the document, okay? And by providing this, you will be then telling to one person, this is a purchase I'm about to make while I'm inserting this file from my computer, right? And the people that will be behind this could be a supervisor. Let me just add the document. This could be a person among in the company. This could be my manager as well, or a director, where they're going to review the attachment that is going to be exactly, this could be the vendor invoice, for instance, right? The vendor invoice is already a document that is attached here in my PO. So you can attach it. And then this is going to be seen by my supervisor, once again, by somebody who's specialized in reviewing this. I want to give you some instances of how we use it, and then how we implement it in some companies, right? So all the POs, all the documents need to be okay. They cannot have mistakes. And when we have 3 or 4 different purchasers together, believe me, we are going to have issues or mistakes once in a while. Okay, so that's why we want this. That's why as well, we verify that in the same purchase order document, look at this, we have like a field related to the approval workflow, the status, the approver ID of who is going to approve this document, right? Date and time set for approval and other statistics, right? So nothing else. It's just a regular document, and this could be very large document, right? That I'm about to send to this vendor. But before even able to do that, okay, send to the vendor or print it if he's in front of me, I won't be able to do anything with this actual document, like sending or receiving the actual document. But because we need to actually, this is prevented. I cannot receive or do anything, okay, because I know that I have something to do. Request the approval of this document. Nice. So with one function that is request approval in the top, this is going to give me a message. An approval request has been sent. Okay, I cannot receive it. I cannot send it to the vendor, nothing. But I want this to be reviewed by somebody. Okay, imagine that now you have invoices, a general ledger or financial payments and other type of documents that we have, okay? But more or less all of them will follow the same idea. We need to then have communication with other people. If I don't have it, I still would need to send it through an email, right, to the person who is going to, or to the team that is going to review this. Maybe behind the scenes, somebody might have a budget, right? They don't want to make more expenditures for this internal department. So we have as well that, but that will be quite more advanced. So this guy has already sent it. And I'm gonna be now the administrator for now, right? What then the approvers are going to see as an example. So I have then the approval entries window. Let me just explain you. And these guys are actually going to see all of these different lines, okay? Purchase header, amount, right? Approved, cancel, what you did in the past, the people who is sending information. So this guy, the administrator, currently has done a lot of work, right? And sent, and he has received a lot of different documents like the one we did from all these people, Wellman, admin. So I believe that then with this, you can see all the different approvals, and just in case, who is going to be the approver, right? The amount. So the administrator is capable of seeing all the approvals behind the scene, and he has all the rights. But that doesn't mean that the approver workflow should always work like just the administrator is going to do everything. Actually, we need to send it to a manager, maybe to a director as well. And for that, we can set up the approvers. But before going there, I want just to give you the idea of how then we operate. Okay, just to begin, we have there the necessity to find the actual document, let's say, right? So for me, when I actually send the approval workflow, I would like to see, for instance, what are all the entries or the overdue entries sometimes. So before doing anything, the approver, he can access, right? Overdue entries are a approval document or are documents that I haven't yet approved or somebody didn't approve yet. All right. So yes, when we have one single window where I can just check the overdue entries immediately, right? I'm going to be able to see this document amount 10,000 by Mr. Wellman. Okay, that's fine. Or like I was mentioning, all the entries. Okay, so you can immediately choose a verify all this information, right? And as well, we have the date and time sent for approval of any given document, okay? So you can rearrange all the data just to verify, let's say just for today, okay, who has actually just sent a documents to approve. And from what I see here, I have somebody that is called Carl Smith. Remember who was Carl Smith? It was a person who previously did this document. Okay, this is not overdue. I'm just giving you first the two windows that any approver should see, right? And before going there, I as well have one email that I can actually send, all right? That will be the idea. You receive an email in Outlook or something like that. We actually can prepare that for you. It's not going to be a problem, right? But the idea here is that as well, I will be then verifying all my information. And then we have these two KPIs, request sent and request to approve, okay? If I'm the approver, right? So that will, if I'm the sender as well, okay? They both have these KPIs activated. So let's go and just verify the approval entries once again. So you have the email that I can send with any text that you desire. Mr. Noé, you have something to approve. Please help me. And you can open in your cell phone, right? The same app, by the way, or a tablet, why not? So let me just change for a second my layout. So you can see, if you want to open Business Central in a tablet as well, that will be fine. Let me just open my window. That will be fine. This is just a browser that I can use, right? You can open it in your cell phone, in your tablet, in order to start approving, right? So the idea is that you need now to review the information, cancel, accept it, delegate. It depends. We have different types of scenarios. So for this, I'm going to then accommodate all the approvals requested so far by date and time. To look at the very last document that I have just sent, okay? So I have rearranged this data by date. Now, immediately you are going to then need to see the record, okay? And let's just do the two actions, reject and approve. But what's the idea behind this? Okay, imagine that here, somebody that is called a Carl Smith, look at this, who's the sender? You can see approve due date when you need to approve. Okay, so for tomorrow, I need to approve, and I don't see any comment. This is the first thing that I will be checking immediately. If there is some urgency or some specific information, look at the attachments. In this very moment, I have this document, number one, or notes, okay? The document I will be then able to review, open the PDF, just click on the document number, this is PDF, or this could be Excel or download, or open in OneDrive. If you are not in your main computer, look at it in the cloud, okay? Is there gonna be a problem? And then the details as well are part of, what is this? The approval, the order is 10-6-17, and the status is open. Okay, open for me, coming from the approval workflow. Okay, the approval is open because I haven't yet approved it. Okay, but the purchase order is currently with this other status. Okay, you see the difference? The statuses are, well, pending approval for my PO, but in the approval workflow status is still open because I haven't yet approved. It's because, well, I just need to see the actual information. Let's look at the correct item is here, 1900 S, Paris guest, main, 10 units, and more important, the cost, okay? I like it. This is what I see in the attachment and so forth. So think of all the reviews that you need to do, because this is the important thing, okay? What do you need? But I cannot accept one simple thing. Okay, I cannot accept wrong information, wrong cost, what else? If the information is not complete and so forth, you might then establish your own policies internally, because we have reference, the vendor invoice number, the quote, a vendor shipment number, what else? Assign user, who is going to be the person who is responsible for this? Add it, please, okay? All right, Carl Smith. So I'm starting to see like some of these mistakes. Okay, the approver or the assigned user is not here. What is your reference? Why are you purchasing this? Maybe this is an internal policy for administration or for managers. Okay, something like that. This is my reference, but okay, I can accept that, but I cannot accept that the cost is not correct. Something like that. In this very moment, you can do then two things. We have one single window in the top that is called approve, where you can approve or reject, add comments, or delegate. So if I approve, this line is going to just disappear and the person who created it can just continue with the particular process, in this case of a PO, which is receiving the items and send it to the vendor. Then reject. Okay, it's something that I'm about to do, but before rejecting, I will then add some comments. Okay, we can add in, that's the idea. Please correct the cost. Okay, add responsible. And why are you purchasing this? Okay, maybe quite general questions, not related to your particular policies, but the idea is that when we do this, we would like to then just specify internally, and this with training, right? We help you to do all this. But the most important thing is that you understand that if it's not correct, it's not correct, and then I'm just going to reject it. And that's the idea, okay? In this very moment, the purchase order status, right? It's just changed, okay? It's once again open, but look at this, it's just rejected. So I cannot do anything else. Well, the person who wants to purchase these items cannot just do so yet, okay? So that will be basically the idea. So let's just review some other functions, some other ideas, and then I'm gonna come back to be, once again, Carl Smith, okay? This Carl Smith, this guy, Carl Smith here, okay, who is going to be once again the approver, can see his PO. This is still has a pending approval status, is still open. Why? What happened here? Well, of course, you can see as well the comments and everything else, right? So we give you training, we still have the documents, the notes, and the comments, everything. So this guy will know the reason why everything is just like this, right? So then in this case, cancel the approval request. There's nothing else to do. I need to correct maybe the cost, but then you can do so. Maybe this is 160 according the invoice, okay? So that's very important to change to review. And then you can add, well, you can see the reference for managers. And then for the main office or something like that. Then purchaser code, then Benjamin Chu is going, we have a list of purchasers as well that you can use, sometimes very important. So giving you then information about the more important fields, because you might then use them, okay? The due date, when you need to actually pay for this PO. If you have a vendor order number, okay, that's fine because they created as well their own document on their own system, but I need to have a reference and things like that. So once we just exactly just do that, then we can send the approval request once again. Okay, coming back, then I'm going to go back to the administrator part. Let me update this. Reload. So you see now the main logic. It's not difficult at all. It's just the idea that we need somebody who is in charge of maintaining not only the cost, which is most of the time the common idea. I need an approval workflow to verify my budgets, expenditures, and everything else. But that's not really the main aspect of the approval workflow. But all the information should be just correct. And once again, this is pending approval for me. And the sender is once again Carl Smith. Nothing else. In this very moment, then I will be then just approving. Where is it? Here is approving or as well delegate. Okay. So if I just approve the document, that will be fine. Once you get the approval, then the user can then do everything else. Okay. They can just continue with the reception, send it to the vendor, then invoice it, and so forth, okay? So you see now the main idea, okay? But then I would like then to give you an insight of how you can exactly just do what I just did, okay? So let's just work together. And I'm going to show you other ideas like delegate, like sending through email or notifications or things like that. So this is my very first time in Business Central. I'm just learning. How then can I then create such a thing? Okay, in the top, we have a magnifying lens that you can use. Let's just go there and then just help me go into workflow. And by the way, if you want then later this video, you can actually request it because our webinars for you are just completely free and our webinars are for you to learn. Okay, so workflow templates. Okay, let's just go there. Okay, in the workflow templates, we are going to see this list. The idea of this is that we have prepared for every implementation out of the box. You're gonna, instead of having a programmer doing this for you, you can just do it by yourself. And these are the templates that are going to help me just to do exactly that. What do you need? Let's just think. Administration, overdue, approval request, workflow, okay? If something is already overdue, let's just send it to Mr. Administrator automatically. But for finance, we can generate payments or general journals in batches or to review line by line. So let's just check the difference. I have a document like the PO that needs to be sent to maybe the controller in the finance department, or maybe if they want, they need to review line by line, meaning that let's say that the accountants, what they do is just add a general journal for expenditures or for a payment that they do. They actually just do this type of operations. They are in the end who will be moving the cash from out of our company, right? So we need then just to have a review of the payments they do or other, the rent or whatever, okay? So these can be reviewed very specifically. And well, yes, some of our customers love like that, this type of process, but with some filters like, hey, I want it, but just specific GL accounts, okay? So start imagining that now you can add filters. So everything is prepared. And then we're going to continue learning. We have for purchase and payables, if you create a new vendor. What else? If you create, like we do, a purchase order approval workflow, okay? But we have other documents like a credit memo, like a singular or specific invoice, or a purchase order return, okay? If you don't allow it, maybe the warehouse clerk can by himself just return some items, maybe not, maybe somebody back in the back office needs to review that, because before doing a credit memo, we need to negotiate with the vendor, or maybe the same approver could be then just related to the review of any return. Then we have the sales and marketing. If you want to add a credit limit to your customers, if they are maybe paying on time, we can actually create a credit limit. And guess who's going to check that? Okay, maybe the actual salespeople, maybe we have a manager right there. When we create a customer, when we create an item or a product, when we change the price of a product, right? And then here, when we cannot prepare a sales document unless the credit memo, where the credit limit is okay. But here in the sales documents, we can create an approval workflow for credit memos, sales order, sales quotation. If you do quotations, they are different, okay? We have sales orders and we have quotes. The same happens for purchases, okay? The thing with the quotation is that we have a draft document that we actually send to our customer. This is the regular prices that we manage. Would you like to accept it? And if the customers accepts this quotation, right, then we can say this is going to be generating a real or a sales order. Firm document, legal document. And a quotation is not any legal document. It's just similar to a sales order, but it's just, like the draft, the model to be reviewed by your customers. Okay, first before actually selling anything. Okay, so this is then the workflow templates. And the idea of all of these different type of documents and this process is that it helps me to create my approval workflow. So let's just do what I just did. So we have the purchase order approval workflow. I'm going to select this new one, okay? So I'm going to click on new. And here you can see the option, new workflow from the template, from my selected template, which is purchase order, okay? So I'm gonna click on new. And the idea of this automated function is that it's going to create the purchase order approval workflow, okay? Everything is already programmed for you. We just give you more additional training just for most advanced stuff, okay? Or we can help you creating something if it's quite cumbersome. But let's just go to the basic. My workflow can be enabled, okay? Or by the way, this is telling me that I still need to configure a couple of things, no problem. But then I can, I use this function to enable, right? Or or turn off my approval workflow, meaning that if this is not turned on, nobody's going to receive, right, any document yet. But let's just verify what happened with the approvers, okay? Among all this information, which is quite technical, so here is just saying purchase order approval workflow, okay? In the top, you have a new workflow that you have created. This is the MSPOAP W02 approval workflow. Every workflow we create has one specific number. Okay, and then as well, just to mention it very fast, we have actions, okay? What happens if an approval request is approved, okay? If it's rejected, okay? And if it's delegated. So these specific lines that I have here are actually specific events that the approval is going to create. When something happens, if the users do specific steps like approving or reject, okay? What is the condition? Meaning that, for instance, approval of a purchase order might be sent, right? But you want to add filters, maybe only for a department, only by a specific type of items, all right? And I'm not going to add it. This is quite advanced. We are just learning, right? So what about the currency code? Okay, if the document has euros or Mexican pesos or Canadian dollars, well, somebody's going to review it. Okay, but what if somebody is purchasing what else? I don't know, one specific amount or payment terms, or if somebody purchases, okay, from Fabricam, okay, that's a condition. And what I buy from vendor number is just a filter, right? So if somebody purchases from one of my vendors or thinking more ideas, one specific type of group of items, somebody, okay, that's a condition. This is the if scenario, okay? Not too complicated, just need to add right here the specific condition you desire. But I'm not going to go yet there. I just wanted to explain you that it exists because, yes, as you can think, we need to just do the basic first, which is add the people who is going to approve. So add record restriction before going to filtering among different areas or group of items. In this case of purchase orders, what I'm going to do is just now going for the actual responses, okay? The workflow responses are without filtering on conditions, just any regular PO, okay? First of all, show me a confirmation message, okay? That will be then giving you the confirmation and is going to send you an email. Then the due date formula. Where are you expecting that if I don't approve, then the system should send it to the administrator, okay? Well, maybe 2 days. Or delegate, okay? You need to delegate this, okay? The due date of any given document will be 2 days. But when do you want it to delegate? Okay, after 1 day. immediately, okay? So the document will be due after 2 days, but if it's not approved yet, send it immediately to the next responsible, and we can set that up, okay? No problem. Then the approver type, okay? We have for now, and just the easiest way is the approver chain, okay? So I'm gonna leave it like that, okay? And actually, then the only thing that I would need to do is just enable this stuff, okay? But this is telling me, by the way, that the purchase order approval workflow cannot be enabled because, by the way, I have my other PO approval workflow enabled, okay? So I don't want to confuse you with that. The thing is that I have now one workflow already. How many approval workflows you have? Currently only two, one for credit limit, one for an approval workflow, which is enabled. And this is the next one I'm currently creating, the one that I have behind that is not yet enabled. And we have a list of the different workflows that this company has to review which ones are enabled and which ones are not yet enabled. So let's just add, this will be the purchase workflow for the number 2, okay? But now, in this process, I would like then to verify that if, let me give you another ideas. Is the quantity, let me add the number. If the purchase line, what else could be good here? Give me 1 second. I would like to add item category. Okay, that would be a good idea, maybe. Okay, if this purchase is going to be for clothing or electronics or laptops, okay, maybe you have your purchaser separated by a type of group of items they purchase, something like that. Well, let's just use this functionality from the purchase line, in this case, to add, if I purchase electronics, okay, that's fine. That's then the event condition, okay? And you can think of other type of process. If somebody's adding GL account, if somebody's adding items, if somebody's purchasing fixed assets, okay, then, well, let's just do specific actions, okay? So add your conditions first. If something, which is just basically a filter, okay, if this document has this specific information, items, costs, item categories, currencies, payment terms, whatever, just do the negotiations and think about it, okay? But, well, if I come back to my workflows, the thing with the workflows is that just I want to then verify that who is going to approve next, okay? And then we have the approval of a purchase document is requested, okay? This is the action. What if this happened? What if somebody is requesting this, okay? So the first thing is that this is going to change the status to pending approval, okay? So we have then the actions that are about to happen when this event is happening, okay? And then the approver chain is going to be then sent, receiving this document, okay? We have different type of people who can approve. And this is the thing. The approver chain is basically a group of people that you enable for your company, for the entire company, a director, a purchase manager, by amount. Let me just explain you this idea, okay? The user app. I have a window where I can specify my chain, okay? That's the idea. Remember the word chain. So the approval user setup window, if I enable then my workflow to work with that so-called chain stuff, that workflow is going to review the actual users that I have in this list. What happened here is that I have, look at this, the user ID. I have admin David's Carl Smith. Remember that Carl Smith was creating a PO, but who's going to be the approver of Carl Smith? is going to be the administrator, okay? But at the same time, I have like specific purchase approval amounts. So starting with 200. If that happens, this person, well, is going to review. If it's going to be 600, then the administrator is going to review. But if it's only 400, well, then Mr. Wellman is going to approve. How this happened? What will be the idea? Let me rearrange this because maybe it was not in a perfect order for me to explain. First of all, Mr. Wellman can create a PO like Carl Smith did just in our first exercise, okay? Mr. Wellman can do so. And then a person is going to approve, is going to be his approver, okay? But let's say that I need somebody to approve to Mr. Wellman. So let's just continue to add more people. I'm going to add this one. This is my mate, Alexander Seleta. It's part of my team, actually. So first add in this list all the people that you like to add as approvers. Let's just add Alan's. And let's continue adding more people. Aliev. Very nice. If just in case you don't like this small window, you can just maximize, select from full list to verify the complete name, to verify the email. I have Eric Gruber, Gloria Rivera, and my people is here, okay? From the entire company, you're going to see all the users that work here in this company, right? So select from this list, well, the people that will be involved in the approval workflow, which is already here in this first column. But then what happens if Alexander Seleta creates a PO? What happens when Alan's or Aliev creates a purchase order as well? Well, the actual approver is going to be Wellman. I can see here that this person, Wellman, is approving all the POs until, well, the purchase amount will be 200, okay? So that's fine. I want this approver to approve to be the main approver of these three guys, okay? Mr. Wellman. The approver ID is here. Now I'm configuring my three users to be approved by Mr. Wellman. All of the POs, think about it. Maybe no. Well, all optionally, all right? All the POs could get an amount, once again, optionally as a threshold, right? If the purchases are below 100, no request approval, no approval request is sent to anybody. If they are above 100, then Mr. Wellman, as you can see here, is going to then receive this document, okay? Now, we can set up one unlimited purchase approval, but only for one person in your company, which is, in my case, the administrator, who has this small check mark, unlimited purchase approval. Why do we do this? And as well for sales, remember that we as well have sales processes. Because in this case, well, this person, or we need one administrator in your company, right, that is going to help me to approve it just in case nobody is approving anything. So like I did before, I have a list where I was the administrator that can see everything in my company. He can approve, he can reject, he can delegate, he can do anything. So this is then very important to have. Plus, we as well dedicate then the approval list administrator checkbox, okay? If somebody has this right, okay, he can see everything. Very good. I liked it. I'm starting to learn. And then give me another option now, because what happened if Alan's or Aliev or Mr. Alexander Seleta are not, or just are on their holidays or whatever, right? What do we do in this case? Well, we are going to need then a substitute to approve, well, in this case, to approve, sorry, for Wellman. Mr. Wellman is an approver, okay? If he is not, then here, who is going to receive? Well, Carl Smith. So you find a substitute as well here inside. Well, not all the users in your company, but only the users that you have added to be part of our approval workflow a process, okay? The ones that I added here are as well here in this list. And if you then configure them, they can be as well then just substitutes, okay? But I'm going to give you another option. We not only the users, but we have created also purchasers and salespeople. Okay, inside my company, I have created a full list of different people who are actually purchasing. On the sales side, they are visiting customers, right? The part of the sales team. They could be added just to the workflow, okay? It's not going to be a problem because especially these people might be just related to this type of process. And then we are just going to need an email, okay? Very important. Remember that we can send it. And a telephone number, just in case, okay? Because that will be sent through the actual email. All this information that you add is super important, all right? So once we configure this idea, you can see, well, here my amounts are rearranged from the smallest to the largest, okay? Okay, so with this, then you more or less understand, try it, at least with one or two users. And remember, if a PO is not generated to be approved, then might be because of the amount. Sometimes it happens. Just giving you, while you learn some insights. Let's go to the important thing, notification setup, okay? This is maybe for me, technical, call me. Hey, I want to send an email instantly, or when somebody approves, or when somebody creates a new record, or when a document is overdue, immediately send emails, okay? No, it's not gonna be a problem. No, it's not going to be a problem at all. But what will be your notification method? An email or a note, okay? A note that can be just sent within Business Central, or an email, let's say, in Outlook. We just send it, hey, Mr. Administrator, please, I have created this PO, approved for me. This is the overdue date, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, when do you want to schedule this? Okay, where you establish a recurrence. Okay, this was on notification schedule. Okay, you can establish then when you want to notify instantly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Okay, verify that. It is going to give you the time just in case you select not instantly, but maybe you just select daily. Okay, but when will be the time that we should send this notification and which day? Maybe just daily, or maybe just the weekdays. Okay. Because on Saturdays and Sunday, we might not just do so, okay? So we can establish that, just giving you the ideas as well. But just when we just do this, actually, we consultants help you to do this because we need to configure your company email, what would be the legend or the body of that email that you would like to have, and maybe just program the time or schedule it just in case you need it. But most of the time, just to mention it, we just use instantly, correct? That would be the general idea. It's not, well, but it's up to you, actually. It's up to you, right? Very important then just to schedule those type of operations. But I want you then to try it, okay, to configure some of this. Remember, first step is just to add among the users of your company here in this list who will be part of the approval process. Then you start from the smallest, which was Alan's, who is going to be the approver, the amount for this approval, okay? And remember, you can establish then all your different criteria by amount, like I have done until 600, okay? Optionally, add a substitute, very, very, very important if you want it. And then an email and a phone number for all these people who will be part of the approval process, okay? And don't forget just that we just have an approval administrator, okay? Remember that we help you with this. It's just for you to learn if you want to actually just do on your side some tests and start learning about this. We can help you with that. Okay, nothing else. But we have the approval user setup test just to finalize what this does. The approval setup test actually is going to simulate the idea, for instance, the administrator. Let's test if he is going to receive this approval, okay? So what is he going to be approving? We have set up the purchase approval, okay? So what happened in this setup test if the user administrator receives a purchase approval, okay? Then I can just preview, and Business Central has a functionality. Okay, and let me see what happened here. Approver, this guy, sorry. Because this is the administrator, he doesn't have an approver. What we are testing, and sorry, this is my mistake. What we are actually testing, okay, is what happened then if Carl Smith sends an approval workflow, all right? So let's just verify. Where is Carl Smith? Okay, what happens if this person creates, well, a purchase? Okay, that would be the idea. And sorry for that previous mistake. This is the actual idea. What happens when your user creates one of the documents to be approved? So this is approval test of, and it creates this brief summary. So we have the test of purchase approval limits. First, Carl Smith, whose administrator is whose approver is the administrator, the purchase amount is 600. Okay, so if Carl Smith creates a PO, the sequence is that he first needs to create the PO, and then immediately the administrator is going to approve. And the administrator has unlimited approvals. So Carl Smith, if I just test this guy, well, he only has one approver, admin. Let's just come back to review this general idea in my configurations, okay? So I have, yes, Carl Smith, and he is the last in my chain with 600. That's why only the administrator can approve to Carl Smith, okay? But if Alan sent a PO, this needs to be approved first by Alan's, okay? Then by Wellman by 200, then by David's by 400, and last by Carl Smith by 600. So he must follow the chain, okay? And that's why if I come back to my approval workflow, what happens when a purchase document is requested? Well, let's just trigger the approver chain. And that's what it means, okay? Now, you don't have to do anything else. Actually, the approval workflow will be just working perfectly for you, like I just showed. But sometimes you don't actually need an approver chain. Sometimes you only want a direct approver, okay? Or first qualified approver or specific approver, okay? So in order to then just do so, let me just enable this, okay? I have turned off the enable document. The approval workflow. When this happens, nobody's going to approve any PO. So we need to then work after hours, just for you to know when we set it up. Okay, just to set it as a suggestion. Okay, but I was just talking about the actual approval process. Okay, here the entire chain should approve, but we do not always really need that. Okay, sometimes we need a group of people. Let me just add the workflow user group. This is another option. Who is going to approve the POs whenever you need it? Okay, so let's just create a new group of approvers. This is for my demo. Okay, this is the demo group of approvers, all right? Maybe, well, the idea is that you can create any name for your approvers, but when we actually just do this, okay, we are going to add then Alan's. I'm going to add Alexander, and I'm going to add David's. And you can see that they have the sequence number 1, 2, 3, okay? Actually, it's just a sequence, but they don't have amount like in my previous change. It's just a group of people. All of them have the same level regarding the amount, but I need to get, if I add these 3 people, right? I need to get these 3 approvals just to be able then to start using my purchase order. You get it? So they all have the same level regarding the amount. But regarding the sequence, first Alan's is going to review it. Maybe he reviews the cost. Then Alexander Seleta will be the second, okay? And then David is going to be, in the end, the last of the approvers that I want. Maybe this will be the controller, the purchase manager, and then the director. I don't know. Okay, you decide who's going to be part, but all of them, that will be the difference. The approver chain is going to then work with a specific amount, then to start sending. But when we work with the workflow user group, it doesn't matter the amount. I need to get the 3 approvals to get then the approved status in my PO document, right? That will be the idea. And then we can start just playing, all right? Maybe all of them will receive, they have the sequence number 1, so they receive the same at the same time, the same email they receive at the same time. Okay, so that will be then the idea of the workflow user group. You decide then, well, I have 3 different teams of people. One is demo, the one that I have configured, but I can see that I have other 2 teams of people who actually just do approvals. So you decide when you set up the user group, who is going to be the team of people who will be then helping you to approve the document. So with another criteria or another logic, but just showing just in case you need it, right? And then sometimes will be more important to add, well, into my approver chain, somebody who will be the direct approver, okay? Just who will be the direct approver? Once again, you can select, okay? Even if you don't like to work with amounts or anything like that for some type of documents, let's just then mention that every person that is in my approval user setup has a direct approver immediately, right? So that's why this actually, and this is how it works. For Alan's, Alexander, and Aliev, well, and David's, Wellman approved for them. Maybe he's the manager of the sourcing team, right? But above Wellman, there's Carl Smith, who might be the administrator, who might be just the actual specialist, okay, in IT specialist, who will be able to see all the approvals. That's fine. Nothing else, but that will be the direct approver. It's just one single person that you configure, that you tell to Business Central. For Mr. Noé, Mr. Hector Negron, who is my boss, is going to approve anything that I do. And then we have the first qualified approver, okay? And that's another thing. The first qualified approver has to do with the specific that you actually specify in your filters. Let me just give you an example. Sometimes we add, now I'm going to work with the idea of the filters, okay? Approval of purchase event conditions. The conditions are more or less the same idea, filters, okay? If, what happened if somebody is purchasing, what else? Let me give you, okay, we have the idea of the concept of jobs, okay? This stuff here are projects in Business Central. We have a module, right, that where we can create projects for our customers, right, like maintenance, or we build something from the customer. We do not only resell items, but with the projects module, we can create like different phases of a project, analysis, deployment, and then testing and so forth, right? And maintenance or building something, right? So that's a project. And maybe if a purchase is coming from a project, okay, job number, then the idea is that, well, if somebody's purchasing from the project reception area or new office or decorate conference room, okay? Behind the conference room, they might be chairs, they might be electricity, they might be then other type of general expenditures, right? A payroll for the people who will be doing this stuff, right? And if something is coming from that job 0020, well, I will need a special approver to do so. Okay, so those type of ideas. So it's something that, once again, the event conditions help me to filter by item category, by project, type of product, by amount, by currency code, anything, right? A lot of different steps. But those are the conditions. So you can try them. It might work the very first time. Remember that we are just learning, right? And then once again, once we are finished with all of this, oh, by the way, I want my approver chain. But for now, that will be the first qualified approver. Okay, and I'm gonna come back to my approver chain. Okay, but let's just establish that we can just delegate after 1 day. All right, so if I just click on OK, before going anywhere else, I just need to enable my approval workflow. Okay, so that will be basically the general idea. And here, just in case we give you additional training, you can see this cumbersome list with a lot of data that we have here, right? These are basically what's happening with this workflow, okay? An event is triggered, okay? Let me just, right? With some training, we are actually learning this. The run of an approval workflow, and then what was the response? We sent an approval, we created the approval request, the status change, okay, to pending approval. This is the idea of what is behind all of this, okay? So basically we can check, okay, somebody cancel, allow. So the idea is that with some additional training, you are going to be able to read, like me, all this information. But the idea is that it's quite technical, I was mentioning, but nothing. We can see that when something is completed or is inactive, if your workflow, maybe you don't see any of this list, maybe you haven't yet enabled, well, your actual workflow. So as well, it will be important to mention that when we enable an approval workflow, we as well have Power Automate. Okay, which is outside Business Central, just to mention. Let me give you an idea. Well, this could be working. You already saw in the very beginning of the presentation how we cancel, how we accept, and so forth, right? But sometimes with Power Automate, which is just to mention, the technology that we have in Microsoft enables to use like Power Apps. This is what we call the Power Apps, okay? That allows me just with Power Automate to additionally, outside Business Central and the steps, the previous step that we have just explained, to create your own workflows, okay? But what happens here is that sometimes we need to communicate, all right, and can create a new communication now with other apps. So what happens if I would like to receive an approval workflow, but send me the information into Teams, okay? Look at this. Power Automate helps me as well to communicate to other apps inside the Microsoft world, okay? To start then helping me with my processes, okay? Just to give you an idea of what is a Power Automate. And I have access to this site, okay, the Power Automate. And then I have selected once again, templates, okay? You can create from scratch. Once again, this is technical, but don't worry, we have templates. You can click on approval, and it has sent me a lot of different options, right? Because additionally, to say to internally in my Business Central application, I would like to then send outside Business Central, maybe to Outlook. Look at this. All of these apps start an approval process and send an email on Microsoft from submission. Or add it to SharePoint, okay? Or send from responses for approval, a post list of item after the approval, but to Twitter. Imagine, why would I like to have it on Twitter? Well, I don't know. Maybe you create an account internally in your company, and then you post messages, okay? And we have done this for customers to post information into Teams. What else? Let me just give you an idea just to finalize, okay? Please let me know if you have any doubt as well. No worries, I can explain. But if you want, we have communications as well within Teams. What is going to happen here is that you are going to send to the specific, I have here my chat with my contacts, and my contacts, whenever I create, right, a purchase order, they are going to receive in their own chat, hey, you have to approve something. Or as well in Teams, right, I can just immediately generate a tips of people like, let me see, I have sales and marketing team, okay? The sales and marketing team, right, is just here, and they have their own posts like Facebook. Hey, we have scheduled a meeting with my friend Francine. She works with me in the pre-sales team. And then here she has just posts like Facebook, hey, we have something to do with this meeting with fixed assets. But as well, we can post from my workflow here a message, okay? Like Facebook, you have an approval workflow to complete today as offered, right? And here in my files as well, why not to immediately attach those files in Teams or in SharePoint or others, okay? So we have connections among different apps in the Microsoft world. You can see a lot of different ideas here. When an item is created, approve a Microsoft form, response to add a row to an Excel spreadsheet. All right. But the idea is that, yes, we can actually select, right, to have communications outside, right, Business Central to communicate in other apps like, well, Outlook, Teams, Twitter, SharePoint, and others, okay? So that would be basically the general idea and process of any given approval workflow. So that will be then the webinar for today, guys. Thank you very much for your time. Hopefully this was insightful about what is the idea or the logic behind the approval workflows. If you have any question, I'm going to add here my email in the chat so you can ask me. My Optimus.pro. My webinars, I always, receiving questions, okay, about the topics you want to see, right? Send it to me. I prepare the webinars with my request that I receive. This was something that, for instance, 3 people asked me to do the approval workflow, and now I'm doing webinars more or less every once in a month. I used to do it on a weekly basis, but we still continue with this. All right, don't worry, we got it. Well, we have a full set of different videos that you can request to Optimus just in case, right? Where we have been reviewing like 3 or 4 years of weekly webinars where you can actually accept and review and request any information, right? So we will be more than pleased to then share with you guys any type of topic. So thank you. This was the approval workflow. I don't see any questions additionally for today. So thank you very much for your time, for your patience. And this was the approval workflow webinar. Thank you very much and have a great day.